Shri Navadip Maya Purdam ki, Manga Devi ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Kiri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shamana Devi ki, Shrimati Purnamasi Yogamaya ki, Shrimati Tulsi Marani Vrinda Devi ki, Gopishwara Mahadev ki, Braj Dham ki, Jagannath Baladevi Subhadra Devi, Sirisan Chakra Purushottam Dham, Tota Gopinath ki, Narasingha Bhavan ki, Bhakta Pravara Prahlad Maharaj ki, Anand Koti Vaishnavinda ki, Samarat Bhaktavinda ki, Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Hari, Hari Hari Bol. So today we are going to begin our attempt to read the unlimited glories of Srimati Radharani.
Hi.
Hmm?
Very good.
We're going to attempt. I'm just looking for our book, Shloka Amrita. I have it here on this little, what you call it, Amazon reader. But there they have a section called Radha Tattva, and I liked how it was arranged. Let me see if the search works. Shri Shloka. Here it is. They have two very nice sections of compilation of shlokas in the Sri Shlokamrita book. Chapter 23 is called Radha Tattva, and chapter 24 is called Radha Dasyam. And then there's another section called Madhurena Samapayat. It's actually the last chapter. So there's a lot of very beautiful shlokas, and we can start with Radha Tattva. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha Kripa sindhubhyevacha Vititanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Trishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janavapataye Namaha Ajanulambita pujo kanakavadato Samkirtanaika pitaro kamalaya taksho Vishwambaro dvijavaro yugadharma palo Vande jagat priyakaro karunavataro He Krishna karuna sindho Dina bandho jagatpate Gopesha gopika kanta Radha kanta namostute Tapta kanchana gaurangi Radhe vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu sute devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Saruto Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Shriman Ratnagara Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prishtalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambhi Vamshi Vata Tatakstitaha Karshana Venu Swanair Gopir Gopinata Shriyestuna Brindai Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Gurudev Nitya Leela Pravishta, Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashto Tarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all my Siksha Guru Varga and to the lotus feet of my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all of the Vaishnavis. So we're now beginning our little attempt to read the glories of the ultimate Ishtadeva of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Sri Sri Radha and Krishna combined together in one form. And the Ishtadeva of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas is ultimately Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, the divine youthful couple of Braj. And there is no other. And in our Guru Varga, all of our Gaudiya Acharyas, they are in the category of Rupanuga. And Rupanuga, in its most exact definition, means one who is following completely and serving the divine lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in Braj, and particularly in the Gana of Srimati Lalita Devi, and in the Gana of Sri Rupa Manjari, who is serving under Lalita Devi. And those who embody this mood, they are called Rupanugas. There is more details to that, of course. So we have a wealth of material to draw from. What to speak of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of all the Shastras. There are so many chapters there, delineating the glories of this particular gopi, Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. So we're very fortunate, very, very fortunate, because we have come in this life into the association of those great, great Rasik, Vraj Rasik Mahabhagavata Vaishnavas, whose very, their very life, the breath of their life, is service to the lotus feet of who? Of those who are the servants of the servants of the servants of the divine youthful couple of Braja. So we will have to hear from them what are their moods. We have been so fortunate to hear with our own ears in their divine presence the glorification of Sri Srimati Radhika and Radha and Krishna from Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who was beginning the movement to bring these glories to the whole world. And also Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, who gave much more specific information and how we can attain abhideya, what we will have to do, how we will have to serve, how we will have to execute sadhana bhajan, what should be our mood, how we will have to surrender more and more and more. Everything was shown by him, and he explained for the first time that I heard when I read his book, Sri Guru and His Grace. And there he explained what is Radha Dasyam. Radha Dasyam. That term, I don't think we can find it in Prabhupada's folio. The actual term, Radha Dasyam. Because our Gurudev told, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj told, that the mission of our Srila Prabhupada was to convince the whole world that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all that exists. He is God, and not just God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is there to show this truth, to establish this truth. But yet, that same Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, he appeared in this Kali Yuga for reasons of his own, internal and external reasons. But he appeared to give the most intimate service that any of the associates of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan have as their eternal relationship with him. So, although when Sri Krishna appeared on our planet 5,000 years ago, he performed his pastimes with his associates, and they're recorded. But yet, he did not freely give entrance into them. So, he again appeared 500 years ago as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, born in Sri Mayapur, Navadvip Dham, from the womb of Mother Sachi Devi in the house of Jagannath Mishra. And he came to give this to all the jivas, those fortunate jivas. He came to give entrance into the eternal land of love, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj would call, the divine abode of Sri Krishna Bhagavan, Sri Krishna in the spiritual realm, Goloka Vrindavan. But even then, he came to give the highest rasa that is available anywhere. That highest relationship and highest rasa in conjugal love, in Madhurya rasa. He came specifically to give that. But he also came to relish and taste that. Yes, that's his primary purpose. He wanted to experience directly the love of Srimati Radharani. Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, he has written a verse which is included in the initial verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And this particular verse is showing very clearly what were the three desires that Sri Krishna had to fulfill. Because he is the Supreme Lord, so he is existing to taste rasa. That's a long topic. I'm just trying to enter into this subject of what specific reason why all of the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very intent upon the worship and the service to the lotus feet of the divine couple Radha and Krishna, and especially Srimati Radharani. But in order to understand that, well, we have to understand who is given access to that service. And that can be none other than Srimati Radharani herself. And Sri Krishna. It is their domain But even Shri Krishna, he could not fathom the depth of Srimati Radharani's praying, of her Mahabhav. And that is very nicely explained, in the 4th chapter of Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Krishna was contemplating what is the expanse of Srimati Radharani's praying for me. I cannot understand how it is all pervading and it is ever expanding. And even though it is the greatest, still it expands even more. And how Srimati Radharani can taste my sweetness. Krishna knows that he is the embodiment of all sweetness. Krishna knows this. He is the very embodiment of all rasa. Raso vai saha. In the Vedas, very simple statement that he is rasa. He is. That's what he is. The Supreme Absolute Truth is rasa. Raso vai saha. He is rasa. And he exists for tasting rasa. So, he cannot fathom Srimati Radharani's experience of tasting his own sweetness. Sometimes example is given of a rasgulla. Can a rasgulla taste itself? No. Of course, that's a limited example. But yet, it is suitable because from Krishna's position, he cannot experience Srimati Radharani's praying and what she experiences. That's what he wants to understand. So he wants to know how she tastes his sweetness, and then how she becomes so unlimitedly happy by her love, by tasting his sweetness. So Swarup Damodar Goswami has written this verse, Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yenad Bhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Va Madiya Sokyam Chasyam Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Veti Lobhat Tadbhavadya Samajani Sachi Garbha Sindho Harindu. So here he is told 3 desires Krishna wanted to fulfill. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva. He wanted to understand the greatness, the Mahima of her praying. Swadyo Yena Adbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiya. Then he wanted to understand what she experiences when she tastes his Adbhuta Madhurima, his astonishing sweetness of Krishna, and what she experiences. Sokyam Chasyam Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Vekti Lobhat. Here's the word Sokyam. Sokyam means happiness. Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Vekti Lobhat. He wanted to understand how she tastes this happiness that is millions of times greater than what he is tasting. This is the actual statement in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Millions of times more happiness. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga, Shri Shri Radha Govinda. So all of this is inconceivable even to Krishna. But that shouldn't be the case, that something is not attainable by him. So therefore Krishna is describing that his mind begins to race very, very fast. We can imagine Krishna's mind racing very quickly. He's trying to understand, how can I experience what she tastes? But he comes to the conclusion, there is only one way. Because from my position, I am the object. But I must take her position. only then can I experience. Then he has to approach Srimati Radhika and request. Gurudev pointed that out, that he had to submit. Sometimes it's said, and this is also verified with Praman, that Krishna, who is the greatest thief, he stole. But Gurudev, being in the Rupanuga Guru Varga, he does not like that Krishna would come by force. No, you'll have to submit. So both are true. And therefore, he appeared. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Allah Dini Shakti Rasmad. Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Puradeha Vedam Gutoto. Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. This is also written by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Prabhupada liked to quote this one very often. He would quote the beginning. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Allah Dini Shakti Rasmad. Here Swarup Damodar Goswami is explaining that these two personalities, Radha and Krishna, their forms. Pranaya Vikritir Aladini Shakti Rasmad. Their forms are a transformation of the Aladini Shakti potency. Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Vedam Gutoto. Ekatmanav means Pura, previously they were one. They were combined, one. Eka Atma. Ekatmanav. Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Vedam Gutoto. But previously, Deha Vedam, they became two. Now, Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Aduna. Now, Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam. Now again, they have become one as Chaitanya. Chaitanyakyam. And Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam. Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Nomi Krishna Swarupam means I am paying my namaskar to that Krishna Swarup, to that form of Krishna, who has taken Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam. He has taken the golden color and the moods, Radha Bhav. And yes, Nomi Krishna Swarupam. It is him, it is him, it is Krishna. It is a Krishna Swarup. But now he has taken Srimati Radhika's own golden color and her moods. So they have become one in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, but what Mahaprabhu wanted to experience himself, what Krishna wanted to experience by tasting Srimati Radhika's three aspects of her Mahabhav, that is for him. And that cannot be given to the infinitesimal jivas. They're not capable constitutionally to experience that. Only Krishna himself and the direct expansions of Srimati Radhika, such as the Ashtasakis and then the Manjaris, but the jivas cannot directly experience. So therefore, the verse in the beginning of the 4th chapter of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's beginning by explaining Prem Ras Niryas Korite Asvadam. Prem Ras Niryas means the essence of Prem Ras Niryas Korite Asvadam, in order to taste the essence of Prem Ras, and Rag Marg Bhakti Loke Korite Pracharan, and to broadcast Rag Marg Bhakti, Then Rasika Shekhar Krishna, Parama Karunya. E dui hetu hoite ichara udgama. Because Krishna is the Rasika Shekhar. He is the most expert taster of all rasa. And that's what he does. So his coming, his manifesting, his pastimes and so forth are for him to taste the essence of Prem Ras. That is because he's Rasika Shekhar. But the second quality is Parama Karunyata. He is supremely merciful. So on one hand, it is for his own purpose, because he's Rasika Shekhar. But on the other hand, because he is supremely merciful, Parama Karunyata, therefore, E dui hetu hoite ichara udgama. For these two causes, dui hetu. Hetu means cause. So for these two causes, ichara udgama, he comes into this world. So in the tasting, he experienced as Sri Krishna when he came 5,000 years ago. He's Rasika Shekhar, and he's tasting. And he's giving access to his pastimes to those who have done many lifetimes, like the sages in the forest of Dandakaranya and other personalities from previous. Now they are awarded the results of their endeavor, and they took birth as gopis. So, but he did not freely give. But because he's supremely merciful, Parama Karunyata, Krishna is. Therefore now he's coming in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and coming with his associates who will help him in his distribution, like Lord Nityananda, his first expansion. And they are supremely merciful. So therefore, when it says Rag Marg Bhakti Korite Pracharan, he wanted to give this to the jivas, to let them enter Rag Marg Bhakti, which means following in the footsteps of the moods and the feelings and the service mood of all the eternal associates of Krishna. That is the specific type of bhakti that Mahaprabhu has come to preach, and he preached it through the 6 Goswamis, specifically Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. Through all of them, he preached and propagated that through them. So, Srimati Radharani also came in Gaur Leela as Gadadhar Pandit and performed many, many pastimes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in that form, Gadadhar Pandit was assisting Krishna how to taste her moods. So, in Tota Gopinath, one of your favorite places, that's where this teaching was going on. Gurudev said that Srimati Radharani is the principal of this school, of this university, and she is now present in Gaur Leela as Gadadhar. So Gadadhar stayed there, and Mahaprabhu would come and would sit with Gadadhar, who would read Srimad Bhagavatam to Mahaprabhu and reveal all the moods. And then Mahaprabhu, as a student, would go to his Gambhira and do his homework in the association of Lalita and Vishaka as Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda, and constantly trying to go deeper and deeper and deeper and fulfill all of his 3 desires to the supreme extent.
I was wondering, as you were speaking, if Mahaprabhu had not come in this Kali Yuga, then there would be no access to these moods, to Raganuga Bhakti. What would happen to all the jivas whose constitutional position is to be the Palyadasya Srimati Radhika? Then they would continue in this cycle until Mahaprabhu appears for many, many, many more yuga. So I don't know, I was just thinking how amazing it is that Mahaprabhu's come and we're here now, but I was just thinking, for those jivas who are getting close and they're in this, this is their eternal position, then how do they get this mercy if Mahaprabhu is not coming?
Well, one thing we know for certain is that Mahaprabhu is always present, just as Krishna is always present in a particular material universe within the material creation. And it's not a problem at all for Yogamaya to send any jiva to that very place. Otherwise, how did we take birth here on this planet, right? And in a human body on top of it, and gaining the association of our Guru Varga. So this is all, of course, quite inconceivable, just as much as even the karma of each and every jiva inhabiting 8,400,000 species, right? All of this is going on perfectly according to the planets of every jiva, their destiny, their good and bad, what they will have to experience. That in itself is way beyond any jiva's ability to even imagine. But yet, it is a system that is set up by the will of the Supreme Lord. So he is agatana gatana patiyasi. What is impossible is very easily made possible by him, right? So in terms of the jivas and their progress and their time for sadhu sangha after wandering brahmanda brahmite, kona bhagyavan jiv, when they become fortunate, then they can, by the mercy of Guru, by mercy of Krishna, they can get the seed of bhakti. So when you say, what happens to those jivas who are meant to have this, right? And now it is coming nearer to that time. So it will be arranged. Some of them will come in this planet at this time, in this universe. Others will come in other universes. It is beyond our conception. This one universe is beyond our conception. So, but we know from Bhagavatam, from Shastra, there are millions and millions of universes. And therefore, constantly, Krishna's pastimes, Mahaprabhu's pastimes, they're going on.
It's just such an inconceivable amount of good fortune and mercy that it just almost seems like beyond.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's for like 10,000 years. I have a question.
Yeah.
So Krishna, to fulfill his internal desires, he could have accepted the form of a woman. Is his karuna aspect, that he's merciful, that they all accepted male forms to give access to everybody into this? Otherwise, if you wanted to taste Srimati Radhika's all of the aspects that you wanted to taste, you wanted to understand the glory of her love, the beauty and bliss that she experienced, he certainly could have arranged that.
Arranged what?
Arranged the tasting of that in a female form. But, yes, why couldn't he have accepted a beautiful form, woman, and experienced just internally all these? But he took a male, but he is Lord Chaitanya. So there's a male form experiencing what Srimati Radhika does, and then all of his associates are male, even Srimati Radhika herself taking the form of Gadardhar. So by displaying it in that way, is that how the merciful aspect, giving access to everybody, manifests, where it wouldn't if it was just a personal tasting on his part?
So, actually, that is true. That coming in this form, because when Krishna appears in a male form, does he not? Yes. We only see a couple of examples of the supreme Purusha, the supreme male, the supreme enjoyer, taking on a feminine form, Mohini Murti. Okay? We only see some. And because he is the supreme male, therefore all of his incarnations are male. All of them. And along with him is also his Shakti. Because whenever he appears, whether he's in a fish form, whether he's in a tortoise form, whatever form he takes, his Shakti is there with him. She's there. When, like Prabhupada has even said, Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, his Shakti is there. Because when he was saying Radha Parthasarati, you know, that deity in Delhi temple that was named Radha Parthasarati. So that was a quandary some devotees asked. They asked Gurudev also. So from a tattva, from a position of tattva vichar, and analyzing it from the position of tattva, yes, wherever Krishna is, his Shakti is fully present with him. Whether it's manifested outwardly in any form, that's another thing. But his Shakti is always there with him, fully. It's not that she's not there. She is, fully. And she takes on various feminine forms in some of his pastimes, as Lakshmis and so forth. So, first of all, the form of the Lord who is coming is always a male form, because that's who he is. That's who he is. And the other thing, as you're mentioning about him being very supremely merciful and giving access, we have to understand, yad yad acharati shreshtas, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever a great person does, common men follow. And then he says, I also act according to this principle, otherwise all the three worlds would be put to ruination, and I would be the cause. So when the Lord comes, he comes in a suitable form to achieve the fulfillment of all of his desires and to also grant merciful access to all the jivas. In the form of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, all these male forms, the Panchatattva and so forth. Of course, there are so many feminine devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well, who we worship to the topmost degree. What to speak of Janava Devi, who is the personal energy of Lord Nityananda, you know. So all are there for that particular pastime of the distribution of Krishna Prem. This is the methodology that all these bhaktas, who are even gopis in Goloka Vrindavan, they take the male form because they are presenting in a culture of the time where the Vedic culture is very strictly observed, the separation of male and female and so forth. So Mahaprabhu became householder. He showed that example for the first 24 years. And then he showed the supreme example of renunciation for the next 24 years. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explains that actually this pastime of taking sannyas, it is especially meant for giving mercy to all the jivas. Because we know that some jivas were escaping. That was why he was contemplating what I should do. Because I have come now to give this distribution of love of God, but so many are escaping my network. But I will take sannyas. He reasoned that then they will be captured, and they were. All were captured. So Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, with the moods of Srimati Radhika, was also mercifully demonstrating to everyone what you will have to do in order to attain this love that I'm coming to give. You'll have to live your life, not just while I'm on the planet, but all future generations for thousands and thousands of years. This is the process that I am showing by my own example, that my personal disciples are showing by their own example. So that culture was given perfectly. Everything was beautifully, perfectly balanced and accomplished. Then Lord Nityananda going and continuing the distribution, and then the Guru Varga coming into this world, and most are male. So your suggestion that by taking a feminine form, then he could more easily taste, that actually, that was your point.
Yeah, that if he only came to fulfill those internal purposes, then he could have done so in a feminine form, but because he had other purposes, he took a male form so that he would give access to all the men who are usually most needed.
See, well, when you're saying that if he took that you're saying that if he took a feminine form, he could more easily.
I didn't say more easily. I just said he could
Why
have.
not? Yeah. Why not?
No.
He could have.
Okay. So that taking of a feminine form is a material conception. Oh, I want to taste Srimati Radhika's praying for me, right? She's in a feminine form. Why feminine form? This tasting of the praying is not external. It's not that by having a feminine form, then in that feminine form, he or she will have union with Krishna's male form or something like that. No, but why? Why feminine form will make it more suitable? Not at all. Because actually entering into Goloka Vrindavan, not just in Madhurya Ras, but in all of the different rasas, one will have to emulate the feminine moods of the gopis. One will have to become a follower of the gopis. Krishna in a male form, coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is demonstrating that his whole life, even how it is aroused within his heart, fully. There's nothing limited or lacking there. He became Srimati Radharani. But outwardly, there was no association with women. There was no material enjoyment at all. That's why the Gauranga Nagaris, who try to say that Mahaprabhu had relationships with young ladies, that's what the Gauranga Nagaris sect, Apasampradaya, says like that. But that is not at all true. So it was the perfect. And this form comes once in a day of Brahma, and always comes in that form of a male, golden colored form, which outwardly is male, but inwardly is feminine. That is even more powerful, because Mahaprabhu showed the extremes of separation. Srila Gurudev said that Srimati Radharani, after Krishna left to go to Mathura, apparently, Srimati Radhika's transformations of her body are not described in Srimad Bhagavatam, because they would be too painful for the devotees to hear. But what Mahaprabhu showed, that is Srimati Radhika's transformations. You see? From separation mood, extreme separation mood. And only through the separation mood can the jivas ever wish to approach that. Because union in separation, that is the methodology. So whether in Gaur Lila, his devotees, his associates, his Nitya Parikar took male or female forms, because they were householders, they acted as ordinary humans in this world, but they were endowed with the highest prema. And so it was a perfect display, teaching. Each and every member of the Panchatattva and all the different associates, teaching the jivas how they will have to live in that culture, how they will have to take up the chanting of Hari Nam as their one-pointed process of bhajan, and cultivate very deeply internally all those moods, you know. So that's all I can say on that point. I don't know if that's sufficient or not. Anything more? Yeah. You know, so, yes.
Because also I heard if Mahaprabhu would see another lady, like he would develop the mode of enjoyer, right? Like Krishna again, without like that. So
no. What do you mean if he would see another lady?
Like or someone would remind him of devotees and Radhika, then he would lose this mood of being the devotee of Krishna. He would like.
Where'd you hear this?
Well, I may explain it wrong, maybe, but
Yeah.
the idea is
No,
that
there's no
Out of
question.
humility, he once said that if he even saw the
That's when he was talking
statue.
about Ramananda Roy,
Yeah, right.
how exalted he is. But there's no case of Mahaprabhu seeing a feminine form and then what you said?
that would develop the mood of being Krishna, not
No.
the devotee of Krishna.
When he was in Vrindavan,
That's different. That's different. He's just talking in general. No, never. Mahaprabhu, from his early childhood, he's surrounded by ladies. When he's teenage boy, he's surrounded by teenage girls. Used to play jokes on them and so forth. This is all innocent. There was no lust, no nothing.
Sure, no lost. Just he would.
No, he was not reminded by that.
He would just again be like in the mood of Vrindavan.
No, the only place in Mahaprabhu's pastimes was when, as a sannyasi, he journeyed to Vrindavan. And when he was in Vrindavan, then the surroundings, even the birds and the peacocks and the animals and all, they were beginning more and more, day by day, to arouse his mood of being Krishna, his Krishnatava, his mood of being Krishna. But that was not the objective. Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan not in the mood of being Krishna the enjoyer, but because he's in Vrindavan and surrounded, that stimulated him. That's one reason why Gadadhar Pandit was not allowed to come. He wanted to come. But if Gadadhar was there, then Mahaprabhu would be stimulated as Krishna. But there is no other circumstance that I've ever heard of, that just by seeing a woman's form, that he would be reminded of his being Krishna, the enjoyer. No.
Sure, no. It's what you said, Gadadhar Pandit. He would
He was
arise this. That's why he's.
Yeah, that's one reason why he was not allowed to come with Mahaprabhu. Yeah.
when the Devadasi was singing,
That's different. That's not seeing her. He was hearing the poetry of Jayadev Goswami, Gita Govinda, and that was arousing within him so much nectar, but it was not arousing in him as Krishna. It was arousing within him as Radha, Radha's moods. The Gita Govinda, when Mahaprabhu was hearing, it was arousing his tasting of Srimati Radhika's praying more and more and more, because the whole Gita Govinda is about that, Radha and Krishna. And he went running there in the mood of Radha, not in the mood of Krishna, when he went running, you know. And internally, he was not aware. But externally, Govinda, his personal servant, stopped him. We read that just the other day. And he said, "Oh, you've saved my life. Otherwise, I would have had to commit suicide." You know, like that. Anyway, this is the beginning of our Katha. We'll have one more night, tomorrow night. Then I'm going up to the Bay Area, and for 4 nights, at least 4 nights, I'll be up there. But, and then Radhastami will be observed here by the few that are left behind after all the big guns have flown away. I'm sure it will be very, very sweet and intimate. Yeah, Rishabh Prabhu also wants to read some.
on K.K. Govinda Priya.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Try to follow in Govinda's footsteps.
Okay. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Vansha Kalpatarusa Kripa Sindhu Paditaram Bhavani Shri Guru